The Anomaly, Tensura X Data Live, by Nocturne_Chapter 37, Key and Sword. Kotori paused the next morning in the Itsuka household. The atmosphere was a mix of curiosity and uneasiness. The spirits gathered in the living room to discuss a particular topic that seemed to be troubling them all. Toka was the first to break the silence. Yesterday, at school, I met a strange guy. He acted like he knew me and Origami, but I've never seen him before. Kotori, sitting on an armchair with her arms crossed, raised an eyebrow. That's odd. I woke up to find some random stranger in our kitchen yesterday morning. He tried to talk to me, but, well, I scared him off. Miku chimed in next, holding up her phone with a look of frustration and confusion. Me too. Some weirdo called me out of nowhere. I hung up immediately, but look, she pointed at her call history, which was flooded with entries labeled as "Darling." I don't remember saving that number, Miku shouted, throwing her arms up in exasperation. It's creepy. Kagaya, lounging casually on the couch, turned to her sister. Hey, Yuzuru. Could it have been that guy we met yesterday? Recollection. Yes, the same individual approached us as well, Yuzuru replied calmly. Nia leans forward from her spot, arms resting on her knees. Well, guess I'm not the only one. Some random dude showed up at my place, claiming to know me. I thought he was just another overzealous fan, so I chased him off. Yoshino, hugging her rabbit puppet Yoshinon, spoke hesitantly. We met him too. He seemed worried about something. Natsumi crossed her arms, her expression serious. Yeah, same here. He kept trying to talk to me, but I had no idea who he was. It was weird. All eyes turned to Rimuru, who was sprawled across another sofa with her hands behind her head, looking completely unconcerned. What about you, Rimuru? Kotori asked. Did you meet this guy, too? Rimuru yawned lazily, her expression calm. No idea what you're all talking about. Never meet anyone like that. The room fell silent as the spirits exchanged confused glances. Everyone else had encountered the mysterious stranger, so how is it possible that Rimuru hadn't? That's strange, Kotori murmured. I mean, he approached all of us. Why would you be the exception? Before anyone could speculate further, Origami, who had been silent until now, suddenly clutched her head, her face twisting in pain. Origami, Kotori exclaimed, jumping up from her seat. Are you okay? Should I call Radatasker's medical team? Origami shook her head, her voice strained. There's no need. I'm fine, but her tempo shifted abruptly, her tone growing calm and precise, the same as her old self from the altered timeline. Makoro, she said quietly, her words laced with realization. She's the one responsible for this. She's made you all forget him. Wait, what are you talking about? Who's Makoro? And who's him? Kotori demanded, her tone firm. Origami straightened, her gaze sharp. Itsuka Shido. He's the one who saved all of you. He's the one who's been erased from your memories. The room fell into stunned silence. Shido. Toka repeated softly, her voice trembling. She clutched her chest as if something deep within her was stirring. Suddenly, her head began to ache, and she collapsed to her knees, clutching her temples. Toka's breathing grew ragged as the sensation intensified. Her body began to glow ominously, her astral dress manifesting piece by piece. Her purple eyes darkened even more as her aura turned sinister. In an instant, Toka fully transformed into her inverse form, her expression stoic and serious. The spirits watched in shock as Toka's overwhelming energy filled the room, shaking the very foundation of the house. Rimuru paused after Toka's sudden inversion. She didn't hesitate to leave the house, her dark energy trailing ominously behind her. Without a word, she vanished into the distance, leaving the others stunned. Origami, however, didn't waste a moment and immediately went after her, her expression as unreadable as ever. Kotori stood in the living room, her face a mix of concern and determination. This situation is getting out of hand. We can't let them roam freely like this. Everyone, split up and search for Toka and Origami. The spirits nodded, dispersing into different directions to begin their search. Meanwhile, Kotori coordinated the Fraxinus crew to search from above, scanning the city for any trace of their two missing companions. As Rimuru walked through the bustling streets, her thoughts drifted. Toka's inversion, it wasn't random. She furrowed her brow, analyzing the situation. From the way she acted, it must have been caused by the unconscious stress of Shizu's absence. Not having him in her life must have triggered a deep emotional imbalance. Her mind shifted to origami. And her behavior, that wasn't the origami we've been dealing with. It has to be the personality from the new timeline resurfacing. The memories of the origami who knew Shizu must be trying to reassert themselves. She shook her head slightly, refocusing. Right now, none of that matters. The priority is finding both Toka and origami before things spiral even further. The spirits fanned out across the city, each diligently searching for any sign of their two companions. Yoshino checked quieter areas, hoping to find Toka in a place she might feel safe. The Yamai twins scoured the bustling shopping districts, their loud voices making sure no one overlooked their presence. Miku took to the more crowded areas, using her charm to ask people for information. Natsumi reluctantly explored parks and hidden corners, grumbling about the effort but still contributing. Rimuru, however, moved with a different purpose. I already have an advantage, she thought to herself, stopping in her tracks. Unbeknownst to anyone, she had placed a clone within the Fraxinus X earlier. So far, no one had discovered it, and it remained active. She closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on the clone's perspective. Through its eyes, she saw something surprising. The Fraxinus crew had just found Toka and origami. To Rimuru's surprise, they weren't alone. Both of them were standing with Shido and Mukuro, though the latter two were unfamiliar to Kotori and the crew. Confusion filled the air as Kotori and the others failed to recognize either of them. Rimuru pulled out her phone and called Kotori, her tone casual despite the urgency of the situation. Hey, Kotori. Any updates on Toka and origami? Kotori, slightly taken aback, replied. How did you know we found them already? Rimuru smirked to herself but kept her tone neutral. Call it a hunch. So, where are they? Kotori hesitated for a moment but decided not to press further. They were just spotted at a maid cafe, but they got kicked out for causing a scene. They seem to be heading somewhere else now. I'll send you the location. Actually, Rimuru interrupted, her tone firm but calm. Just send the location to me for now. Don't share it with the others yet. Kotori was silent for a moment, clearly confused. Why? What's going on? It's nothing you need to worry about, Rimuru replied smoothly, dodging the question. Just trust me on this. Although hesitant, Kotori sighed and relented. Fine. I'm trusting you on this, Rimuru. Don't make me regret it. Thanks, Rimuru said simply before hanging up. She pocketed her phone and turned to the spirits nearby. I'll check a different area. You all keep looking around here. Without waiting for a response, she walked off in the direction of the location Kotori had given her. Shizu Pav. After being kicked out of the maid cafe, origami suggested visiting Tengu Tower. Tengu Tower might be a good place to go next, origami proposed calmly. However, Mukuro's expression shifted the moment the location was mentioned. As they got to the tower, Mukuro clutched her stomach, looking slightly pale. Muku feels unwell, she murmured softly. Noticing this, origami took charge. There's a restroom nearby. Let's stop there for a moment so you can recover. She gently led Mukuro away, leaving Shido alone with inverse Toka for the moment. Shido turned to Toka, his curiosity finally overtaking his hesitation. Hey, Toka, what exactly are you? What does it mean to be inverse? Actually, what even are spirits in the first place? Toka glanced at him with a mix of annoyance and amusement. I resent being called inverse. That term implies inferiority. In reality, it's the original form of all spirits. Shido blinked, confused. Original form. What does that mean? When the spirit of origin created Sephira, Toka began, her tone calm but tinged with disdain. They were what you humans call inverse. Over time, they were refined, made more compatible with your frail kind. Wait, hold on. The spirit of origin, compatible with humans. What's all this about? Shido asked, his voice rising with each question. Toka scowled, her patience wearing thin. Don't misunderstand, human. I didn't explain this for your benefit. I answered because I felt like it. With a sudden smirk, she reached out and grabbed Shizu by the collar, lifting him off the ground effortlessly. You're so weak. Maybe I'll just steal a kiss by force. What do you think of that? Her words, and the act of lifting Shidu, enraged Mikoro, who had just returned with origami. Her gaze darkened, and her voice was filled with venom. You dare try to steal him from Muku? The one Muku loves? Unforgivable? Inverse Toka merely scoffed. You think I care, you pathetic mongrel. She released Shido and summoned her demon king, her blade gleaming ominously. Without hesitation, she lunged at Mukuro. Mikoro summoned her angel, glaring furiously at Toka. Muku won't forgive you. She swung her ki, the air crackling with power. Just as their attacks were about to collide, a sudden tension filled the air, freezing both of them in place. All right, you two, stop this nonsense right now, came a calm but commanding voice. Both Toka and Mikoro turned, their eyes widening in shock as Rimuru stepped into view. Neither of them had sensed her presence until she spoke. You, Mikoro narrowed her eyes. The girl from yesterday. Are you here to steal Mr. away from Muku too? Rimuru gave a dry chuckle, crossing her arms. Hardly. I'm not here for him, are you? I'm here to stop you two from tearing this city apart. Honestly, I'm surprised. Weren't you supposed to be on a date with Shidu? Not trying to kill each other? Toka's eyes narrowed as she smirked dangerously. HMPH. Who do you think you are, stepping into a battlefield uninvited? Someone as insignificant as you shouldn't interfere. Ignoring Rimuru's warning, Inverse Toka dashed forward at blinding speed, her blade aimed straight at Rimuru's neck. But Rimuru didn't even flinch. She stood motionless, meeting Toka's gaze with unwavering seriousness. Mukuro, standing to the side, watched with a similar intensity, her grip tightening on her angel. She clearly wasn't going to let Rimuru walk away unscathed either. The standoff was tense, the air heavy with unresolved conflict. Rimuru paused. Despite the blade poised to slice her neck, Rimuru remained eerily calm, her eyes unflinching as she evaluated the situation. This isn't good. These two won't listen to reason, Rimuru thought to herself. Toka only wants to fight, and Mukuro. She's just looking for payback for yesterday. Toka, stop it. Shidu's voice cut through the tension, drawing Inverse Toka's attention. She glanced at him, smirking as though entertained by his plea. Beside him, Origami stood, her expression laced with concern. Stop them, Itsuka-kun. Origami urged, though her tone suggested she doubted it would be so simple. Shido stepped forward, attempting to mediate. Please, don't fight. There's no need for this. Inverse Toka tilted her head, her smirk growing wider. Boring. Where's the fun in that if there's no winner? Her voice carried a teasing lilt, though her words were razor sharp. And naturally, I'll be the one who wins. She paused, as if considering something, before letting out a small chuckle. But, I might reconsider if you let me be the victor of the previous battle with that mongrel by kissing you. Toka said bluntly. Her suggestion sent Mukuro over the edge. You bitch. Mukuro snarled, lunging at Inverse Toka with her angel, Michael, already in hand. Inverse Toka dodged the attack with ease, but Mukuro's sudden aggression pushed her off balance, sending her flying out of the tower window. Without missing a beat, Inverse Toka flew and steadied herself in midair, glaring at Mukuro with renewed interest. Mukuro, seething with rage, used Michael's siffler to unlock her full power. Her astral dress transformed into a more menacing form, her hair buns adorned with tassels and her outfit shifting to a fiery red and orange palette. Oh, Toka said, her tone betraying excitement. Very well. Fighting this way is more my style. With a confident smirk, Inverse Toka constructed her astral dress. The dark violet dress clung to her form, accented with black laces and grayish magenta and dark pink plated armor adorning her shoulders and waist. The design exposed much of her back and front, with a two-layered skirt that fell just above her knees. Her butterfly-shaped hairpiece, sharp and jagged, completed the ominous look. In the open sky, the two clashed fiercely. Blades and energy collided, the shockwaves rippling through the air. Below, Shido shouted desperately. Stop it, both of you, but his voice failed to reach them. Meanwhile, Rimuru approached Shidu and Origami with an unbothered expression. She glanced skyward, her tone calm but tinged with mild regret. Things really have gone off the rails, huh? My bad, I couldn't stop them. Origami, now on edge, pulled out her phone and dialed Kotori. The line connected quickly. Kotori-chan, it's Tobichi, Origami said curtly. Origami. What's going on up there? Who are those spirits? Kotori demanded. I'll explain later. For now, can Fraxinus slow them down using its territory? To some extent, yes, Kotori replied hesitantly. I'll handle the rest, Shido interjected suddenly. What? Are you crazy? Who even are you? Kotori asked, bewildered. I know how to stop them, Shido said, his voice firm. Please, trust me on this and help out. A tense silence followed before Kotori sighed in resignation. Deploying territory and Yggdrafolium. Let's minimize the collateral damage. The line went dead as Origami hung up. Fraxinus will slow them down soon, Origami explained. But I can't handle both of them at once. She turned to Shido and Rimuru. I'll need your help. Shido nodded without hesitation. Got it. Rimuru stretched lazily, though her expression betrayed a spark of interest. Yeah, sure. I don't have anything better to do anyway. Origami activated her CR unit, Brunhild, combining it with her spirit powers. Rimuru, on the other hand, constructed her limited astral dress. With their preparations complete, the three launched into the sky, ready to confront the warring spirits. Shido Pav. The three, Shido, Origami, and Rimuru, hovered in the sky, watching the intense clash between Inverse Toka and Mukuro. The two spirits fought with unrelenting ferocity, their attacks causing shockwaves that rippled through the air. As the battle raged on, Rimuru glanced at Shido, her expression thoughtful. Hey, Shido, she began, her tone curious. Has Toka ever inverted before? Shido blinked, momentarily caught off guard. Yeah. Toka inverted once before, but that was a while ago, before you showed up. Rimuru tilted her head slightly, processing the information. Oh, so that's why, she murmured. But before she could elaborate, a loud crash interrupted her. Debris rained down from the sky as Mukuro used Michael to open massive wormholes, pulling objects like cars and even trains into the fight. She launched them toward Inverse Toka with frightening precision. Inverse Toka, however, remained unfazed. With her blade glowing ominously, she sliced through the incoming projectiles as if they were nothing. Their battle, though spectacular, wreaked havoc on the surrounding area, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. After another series of explosive clashes, the two finally landed on the ground, facing each other with unwavering determination. Seizing the opportunity, Shido, Origami, and Rimuru descended, landing between the two combatants. Wait, you two, Shido called out, his voice firm but pleading. Please, calm down, Origami added, her eyes darting nervously between the two spirits. Inverse Toka's eyes narrowed dangerously as she gripped her sword. Getting in my way, human. She growled before rushing toward them, her blade aimed directly at Shido. Before the attack could land, Rimuru intercepted her, blocking the strike with a sleek katana of her own. The force of the clash sent a shockwave through the area, but Rimuru stood firm, pushing Toka back with a confident smile. Don't worry, Shido, Origami, Rimuru said, her tone light yet commanding. I'll take care of Toka. Inverse Toka smirked, her expression twisted with excitement. HMPH. Then I hope you're ready to entertain me, she declared before launching herself back into the sky. Rimuru followed without hesitation, the two engaging in a fierce aerial battle. Their blades clashed in rapid succession, sparks flying with every strike. Meanwhile, Shido turned to Mukuro, determined etched onto his face. Mukuro, please, I need to talk to you. Mukuro, still visibly agitated, hesitated for a moment. What is it, mister? She asked warily. Why did you seal everyone's memories of me? He asked, his voice a mix of confusion and urgency. Why would you do that? How can you say something like that? Don't you love Muku? Is Muku's love not enough for you? Mukuro asked with a trembling voice. I hate being alone. I won't let anyone take you, she angrily exclaimed. Their conversation was cut short, however, as Mukuro noticed the other spirits arriving on the scene. Her eyes broadened, and her expression darkened. They're here, to take Mr. away from Muku, she murmured, her voice trembling with both fear and anger. Before Shido could respond, Mukuro's rage boiled over. Gritting her teeth, she gripped Michael tightly and activated its power. The air around them grew heavy as she attempted to halt the planet's rotation, her voice trembling with resolve. If the world stops, then Muku and Mr. can live together forever, in a place where no one can take him away. Realizing the gravity of her actions, Shido reached out desperately. Mukuro, stop. You don't have to do this. But Mukuro wasn't listening. With her resolve hardened, she turned and flew off, her eyes set on eliminating Inverse Toka and Rimuru as the next obstacle to her ideal world. Rimuru Pa. Rimuru and Inverse Toka clashed high above the city, their swords colliding with a force that sent shockwaves rippling through the air. Each strike from Inverse Toka was brutal and relentless, her raw spirit power making the sky tremble. Yet Rimuru remained calm, effortlessly parrying every blow with precision and grace. Toka's frustration grew with every passing second. She unleashed a flurry of rapid strikes, each one powerful enough to carve through steel, but Rimuru weaved through them as if she had already memorized Toka's patterns. Is that all you've got? Rimuru asked with a smirk, deflecting another swing and spinning away with elegance. Your form is sloppy. Predictable. Did you even train? Toka gritted her teeth, her anger flaring. Don't mock me, she roared, raising her sword and channeling her immense spirit power into a devastating downward slash. The attack tore through the air, creating a massive arc of energy that threatened to overwhelm Rimuru. But Rimuru didn't flinch. She sidestepped at the last moment and countered with a precise upward slash that dissipated the energy arc entirely. Her movements were fluid and creative, blending defensive techniques with unpredictable offense. Impossible, Toka thought, her disbelief mounting. Even though I tower over her in spirit power, I'm being bested in pure swordsmanship. Me. Rimuru's attacks became sharper and faster, her blade cutting through the air with lethal accuracy. With each parry and strike, she adapted more to Toka's movements, making the battle seem like child's play. Finally, with one perfectly timed parry, Rimuru created an opening. She dashed forward with incredible speed, her sword aimed with precision. Before Toka could react, Rimuru's attack connected, sending Toka hurtling toward the ground like a meteor. The impact created a massive crater, dust and rubble flying in all directions. Inverse Toka lay at the center, momentarily stunned as she processed what had just happened. Rimuru descended slowly, landing gracefully on the ground near Shido and Origami. She glanced over to assess their situation, noticing that Mukuro had attempted a sneak attack during the chaos. However, Shido and Origami had managed to intercept her just in time. I saw that coming. I could have stopped her, but it's better this way, Rimuru thought. The other spirits, who had just arrived, were convinced by Shido and Origami to lend their support. Together, they worked to keep Mukuro from causing further destruction. As Rimuru watched, Mukuro's rage reached its breaking point. Her astral dress began to twist and darken, the signs of an inverse form taking shape. But before she could fully transform, Shido stepped forward, his voice calm and steady. Mukuro, you don't need to do this, he said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. You're not alone anymore. I'll be your family. Mukuro froze, her eyes wide with surprise. Slowly, the darkness receded, and her astral dress returned to normal. Shido then used his power to seal Mukuro's abilities, allowing everyone's memories of him to return. Meanwhile, Inverse Toka recovered from Rimuru's attack. She stood and approached the group, her expression unreadable. HMPH. What a sad sight, she said, glancing at Mukuro before turning her gaze to Shido. Shido stepped forward with determination, ignoring Origami's worried look. Itsuka-kun, Origami called out softly. Don't interfere, Shido said firmly. Only I can bring Toka back to normal. Inverse Toka raised an eyebrow, then grabbed Shido by the collar, lifting him off the ground. You've turned that fighter into a baby. I've lost interest, she muttered, her tone bored. Without warning, she pulled him closer and kissed him forcefully. The kiss broke the inverse state, causing Toka to return to her normal form. As her astral dress faded away, she looked at Shido. Don't make Toka sad, she whispered before collapsing. Shido caught her before she could hit the ground. Itsuka-kun, let's get you all to Fraxinus, infirmary. Origami urged. I'm fine, Shido said, standing up with Toka in his arms. I've still got some spirit power left, but Toka and Mukuro. Before he could finish, Mikoro suddenly stepped forward and kissed him unexpectedly. Don't let your guard down, mister. Toka got to kiss you, so Muku will, too, she said with a mischievous smile. Shidu stammered, his face flushing. It's okay, Mikoro continued, her tone cheerful. No matter what you do, Muku won't worry anymore. After all, we're family. Mukuro, Shido said softly. Though, Mukuro added with a sly grin. Some level of intimacy is expected. 'Cause we're family. What exactly does family mean to you? Shido asked, completely bewildered. Shidu Pav with Mukuro's case resolved and her powers sealed. She now resided at the spirit house alongside the others. Everyone's memories of Shidu had been restored, bringing a sense of normalcy back to their lives. After recovering from the intense battle, Shidu, Rimuru, Origami, Toka, and Mikoro spent the night in Fraxinus Infirmary. By morning, they were fully healed and ready to resume their daily routines. The next day, Shidu found himself walking to Raizen High School alongside Toka, Origami, Rimuru, and the Yamai sisters. The morning felt oddly peaceful, a stark contrast to the chaos of the previous days. Upon arriving at the school, the Yamai sisters split off to head to their classroom, waving cheerfully as they disappeared down the hall. Shidu, Rimuru, Toka, and Origami made their way toward their own classroom. However, as they stepped inside, they froze in their tracks. Sitting at one of the desks with many students surrounding her, she looked at the group. How do you do, Shidu-san? Kurumi greeted with her signature playful chuckle, her crimson eye glinting mischievously. It's been quite some time, hasn't it, Kurumi? Shidu exclaimed, his tone wary. Toka and Origami stood tense, their eyes narrowing at the unexpected visitor. Rimuru, on the other hand, seemed unbothered, simply observing with mild curiosity. Kurumi stood gracefully, clasping her hands together with a soft smile. Starting today, I've returned to school. I hope we can get along. Her words lingered in the air, leaving the group in stunned silence as the bell rang to start the day. End. Chapter 37.